Hi, my name is Maceo Lewis, and welcome to ML Movie Reviews. Hit the subscribe button so you can see more of my reviews on YouTube. Today I'm going to talk about M3GAN 2.0. I'm going to first talk about non-spoilers before I get into spoilers. I mean, first of all, I just had fun with this movie. I thought it was hilarious. The action was decent. It gave me what the trailers promised. Okay, when I watched the trailers for this movie, I didn't see that this is going to be a horror movie like the first one. It leaned more into the comedy, more into the action. And this is kind of like, if you're familiar with movies in the 80s, with Terminator and Terminator 2, Terminator was the horror movie, and then Terminator 2, which came out in the early 90s, it changed the tone of the Terminator franchise. Before it was horror, Terminator 2 was an action movie. Same thing with Alien and Aliens. Alien was a horror movie. Aliens lean more into the action. So that's what you get here with M3GAN and M3GAN 2.0. M3GAN is more of a horror movie. M3GAN 2.0 is more of an action movie. So that's what I was expecting coming into this. And frankly, I just thought I'd deliver on that front. If you saw my their reaction, my opinion holds up. I saw it only twice, once by myself, once with my wife. So the only reason why I went twice is because I want my wife to see it with me. So look, it's not going to be for everyone. Look, if you're expecting to watch a horror movie like the first one, then don't watch it. Avoid this movie like the plague. And as far as humor goes, humor is subjective. So the humor in this movie just happened to work for me. It might not work for you. If the lines in the trailer, the dark humor didn't work for you, then I would say you might not want to watch this movie. But overall, me personally, I just had a good time. Look, is it going to be in my top 10 of the year? Heck no. It's, I mean, it was just a fun time at the movie, and this is going to come and go, but it's not going to win any Oscars or anything like that. So let me get to start with the likes. I did like the action in the movie, especially what they did with Amelia. She's the antagonist, the AI character. There was this opening scene where she takes out a bunch of, basically bad guys in the Middle East, which is with the exception of one scientist who wasn't really a bad guy. He was just kidnapped and forced to produce a chemical, but she killed him too. But that whole action sequence was good. I mean, it looked a little bit the CGI stuff looked kind of weird when she's like crawling down the pipe thing right before she kills the guy. That looked kind of weird to me. But overall, I thought the action part was fun in this movie, and it was pretty kick ass, especially when M3GAN starts kicking ass. The build up to Amelia versus M3GAN was good. The whole fight scene was cool between them. The humor in this worked. There's like so many funny stuff in this movie. I'm probably not gonna touch on everything. Let me just touch on a few things here, like the M3GAN singing scene when she's singing the Gemma. That was hilarious. Especially also the scene when she's dancing, doing the robot in front of the crowd. I thought that was funny. M3GAN's lines were funny in this movie. Just a couple of them that I just remember when like the FBI guys are breaking into the house and M3GAN calls Gemma and she's like, "Oh, what a shock! I'm back," etc., etc. Like, let's get out of here. I thought that was funny. Uh, M3GAN's comments to Gemma about her sexual preferences, her type. I thought that was pretty funny, and then they call back to it when when Gemma's fighting some bad guy. She's using like this suit thing, or whatever, and M3GAN's in there. She's like reading her body language and her body chemistry. She's like, "Oh, you're aroused while you're fighting these people." I thought that was pretty funny. Even Amelia, like when she's analyzing the billionaire guy played by Clement, I didn't catch it the first time because it happens pretty quickly, but she does like a profile of him. And then, like in the profile at the very end, it says limited intelligence. So I thought that was pretty funny. Even Christiane, who turns out to be the antagonist in this movie, he has a line where he basically wants to control Gemma's mind, but then he looks at Tess and Cole and she's like, "Oh, just kill them," because he's not sure what they do. I thought that was funny. Again, this is like dark humor. She has a line. Oh my gosh! Like in that FBI scene. No, it wasn't the FBI scene. It was after the scene when Gemma gets dressed up because M3GAN convinces M3GAN to seduce the billionaire guy, and like she's dressed up in his dress, and then Katie says, "You dressed up like a Portuguese prostitute." I was so that had me rolling. And speaking of which, that reminds me of another line when Megan is trying to convince Gemma to basically go into the billionaire's party and seduce him, and then she calls her like moderately attractive. I don't know. For me, that was just hilarious. And then finally, the whole Steven Seagal thing. Okay, so I grew up in the 80s and 90s. I grew up on action movies, both the theatrical releases, the B movies. And I mean, Steven Seagal for me he wasn't like on the level of Schwarzenegger or Stallone, but he was at that other level with Seagal and Van Damme. And like I'm familiar with those movies, so I'm familiar with Above the Law, Hard to Kill. Those are the movies he starred in. Now, Executive Decision, he didn't star in. He co-starred in with Kurt Russell. He only had a limited role where he died in like the first 40 minutes of that movie. But Steven Seagal's signature move was the arm break. So the first movie I want to say is Above the Law, and then that's the movie when we see him break the guy's arm. He did the same thing in Hard to Kill in some of his other movies. I don't think he broke any arms in Executive Decision because he didn't stay around too long in that movie. But anyway, so when I'm seeing the poster, I'm like, okay. And then like Katie, of course, is training Aikido. So okay, I see the connection now. And so later in the movie, they call back to it when when Christian, I probably pronounce his name, he's holding Katie, threatening to drop her, which is so ridiculous. Like, why don't you just drop her if you wanted to kill her? I don't know, whatever. I'll get to the negatives in a minute. But he's holding Katie, and then Gemma is trying to signal to Katie to break his arm. That's what she's trying to signal him to do because she's familiar with Seagal's movies and she knows that that's his signature move. So she's trying to drop hints to Katie to basically break his arm. So she's like, what she how's it go? She says, "Oh, Katie, she's not like me. She's even stronger. You can say she's hard to kill. Hard to Kill is a Steven Seagal movie." And then said, if I were to make an executive decision, Steven Seagal was an executive decision, it would be that no one is above the law. She's like, Katie, come on. And then that's when she realized, oh yeah, let me break the guy's arm. So anyway, I thought that was so funny. Now that gets me to the dislike. So I'm a little bit confused who the target audience of this movie is because I didn't think I was a target audience, or people born in the 70s or early 80s and they're familiar with the Seagal movies. So I didn't think we were the target audience of this movie. I would think it would be people born after the 2000s that might not know of Steven Seagal or his earlier movies. So, I mean, when I was watching this movie and when I saw that Katie, this little girl, and growing up in this contemporary time with a Steven Seagal poster, I'm like, why would she have a Steven Seagal poster? But then, like, I kind of gave her the pass because then they said she was studying Aikido. And I was like, okay, well, he's this Aikido master. He's like a seventh Dan black belt. So, okay, maybe she did her internet research and found that, oh, this Aikido master is also in the movies. And that's how she found the movies. Like, okay, I gave her the pass on that. But as far as the audience goes, like, who watches this movie is even familiar with those movies and would get the joke? Surprisingly, a lot of people laughed during those scenes when she started throwing out the names of the Seagal movies. But yeah, I was a little bit surprised by that, but that they would include that in the movie. But some other more important dislikes. Um, well, I mean, this is not so important, but some of the lines that were in the trailer, like they were funny in the trailer, but then when you hear them in the movie, I guess it's because I was just used to it in the trailer, and so when I saw it in the movie, it just didn't have the same impact for me. So, for instance, like when Jim was like, "You killed people," whatever, then um, Megan says, oh, "I was upset." I mean, that was hilarious in the trailer. I was cracking up when I saw the trailer for this. But when I heard it in the movie, didn't really land as well because I already heard it in the trailer. Same thing when she says, "Hold on to your vaginas" in the trailer. Like that just had me cracking up. But then in the movie, it didn't quite work as well because I already heard the line. There was some stuff actually. Speaking of trailers that didn't make the movie. For instance, there was a line in the trailer when she says, "You can kill Gemma, but don't touch Katie." Like it was supposed to be like a joke, right? Like I'm gonna, you know, trade Gemma for Katie, but she's actually, you know, a good robot now, but she wouldn't really do that. But she's like making a joke about it. But that wasn't in this movie. And then there's that M3GAN fan who was dressed up like M3GAN, and she was like, "I don't care, she's a murderer, she's a hot warrior princess." That wasn't in this movie. But anyway, going back to some of the negatives, we only got one fight between M3GAN and Amelia. I thought we would get like several fights between them. We really only got one true fight, like at the very end of the movie. But the bigger negatives for me are it's like the plot of this movie just got way too convoluted. I mean, it was simple enough when you have, okay, a killer AI that's on the loose, that's threatening the lives of the protagonist. They need to rebuild Megan, who was a threat in the last movie, to stop a bigger threat. That's fine enough for this movie. But then it gets so convoluted. There's this twist where Christian, was the one behind it, where Amelia is not really self aware. She's being controlled by him. And so I guess he's the one that killed those Iranian people and the broker with the suitcase or whatnot. And so that's kind of like, I got lost in the plot. I was like, whatever, this is just a bunch of mumbo jumbo. There's like plot holes in this movie. I mean, the one that stood out to me was that, okay, so this Megan, the AI was like basically hidden, like she didn't reveal herself for like over what 2 years. Like she's living under this apartment, like she's like storing like items like clothes and food and like parts under these buildings. Like, okay, so somehow she was in this prototype robot thing that was rolling around in the room when she was talking to Katie and she wrote this in there. And I'm like, okay, how did all these clothes and parts get there? Like a human being or human beings had to physically put those items in there, right? Like Megan couldn't do it because she says she's an AI, but yet she needs a Gemma and her crew to build a robot. It's like, okay, well, if you can get human beings to put all this stuff in there, first of all, who did all that? And then secondly, Megan is an intelligent being. Like she could tell people how to do things, right? So if some human beings were in there, like bringing parts and putting clothes and stuff in there, how come she couldn't have them, build her a body or have like build it herself? Like she's a smart like AI being, like she could do it like that. So I don't know. I was a little bit confused about that, and it just didn't make a lot of sense to me because like we're told that she needs Gemma and these people to build her. It's like, okay, but you have all the parts there. You're able to somehow have a picture of Megan and Katie on the wall there. Like, how did that get there? Like, I don't know. It just really just didn't make a lot of sense to me. But overall, I thought the movie was fun. Look, the whole what I was looking for in this movie was to from the trailers was to have a good time, laugh, and be entertained by the action and the humor. And the movie served its purpose. Um, so, like, what I mean, that's all I have to really say about the movies. It's not going to be in my top 10 or anything like that, like I said. But what were your thoughts about the movie if you've seen it? What scenes that you think were funny were lines? I'm sure I forgot some. So, yeah, if there's something else that I didn't say that you thought was funny, just put it in the comments. Did you like the movie and why? Did you dislike the movie and why? Anyway, so that's my thoughts on Megan 2.0. Hit the subscribe button so you can see more reviews, both my short reviews, my eye theater reactions, and these reviews as well. Thank you.